This podcast contains potentially adult language, adult themes, definitely drinking, and possibly sexual context. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to Drinking with Authors, the literary briefs edition, where we've already had alcohol, so maybe don't even know our own names. Just kidding. I'm your host, Erica Lance. My co-host today is
Mark Muncie from Eyre, Florida.
Amazing. And our guest today is Mary Sheriff. Okay, we're talking again about what we're drinking because, yes. So I decided to hit the declaw again with the Sweet Baby Jesus, which is chocolate peanut butter porter. And I may have had several of these, and they taste like a chocolate peanut butter alcoholic drink. Mark, what are you drinking?
I am having the waffles and syrup from Coffee Shop of Horrors Stranger Brew, based on a certain show on Netflix. And I gotta say, it is delightful and has made tonight just fly by more than other things too. So
it looks like do you have a Nightmare Before Christmas mug you're drinking that?
Yes, it's a giant one, and it says mornings are my worst nightmare. So
I like that.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Everything about that. Okay, Mary, what are you drinking?
I am drinking Noble Vines Collection 337. It's a cab red.
It's a red. I love it. Gets the job done. Okay, you ready for rapid fire questions?
Oh, as ready as I'll ever be.
Awesome. What is your favorite book of all time?
Favorite book of all time? Harry Potter.
Which one?
All of them.
Okay,
No.
Well, that was very aggressive. Why are we being so aggressive?
Because it's rapid fire. I gotta go. No. I think my favorite of the Harry Potter books was number 4.
Goblet of Fire?
Yeah, Goblet of Fire, or 6. I don't know, 4 or 6.
Where Edward the vampire is killed in Goblet of Fire? Wait, wrong movie, right?
I
have been dying to say that. I forgot that joke is built up inside of me for a really long time.
I am so glad you had the chance.
Nailed it. Okay, what is the worst book you've ever read?
Ooh, the worst book I ever read. I don't know if I can do it.
All right.
That's disappointing.
I know. I'm sorry.
You can always go back to a book you were forced to read in high school or something.
Yeah.
Mark's favorite book of all time is Jane Eyre.
Yes, it's my favorite book to dish to say is my worst favorite book.
Oh yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah. Book I had to read in high school that I hated. Well, I mean, I guess I can think like if we're gonna go classics I don't actually like.
There we go.
I don't like what was that? Return of the Native. Oh no, you know what the worst one was Ulysses.
Oh yeah.
Joyce or Portrait of a Young Man as an Artist. Oh my gosh. That was terrible.
Understood.
See, you have a lot of feelings there. We just need to unearth
I just
those
have repressed them.
Yep.
And I don't like to like trash authors, but they're dead. So I can trash them.
Don't matter.
Yeah. And it's not the goal to trash authors. Again, we're readers. There are certain books we like and there are certain books we don't like.
Sure.
And
I know many people like Jane Eyre. I think I avoid them, but I know them.
Well, how you get Mark drawn into a true story is to mention the alabaster skin of at least 5 of the females in the book. That will immediately, he cannot put that book down.
I immediately throw the book out the window and light it on fire because, oh my God, if I see the word alabaster more than twice in a book, funny. I'm like, why? Okay,
so there's a funny little story with that before we get back to rapid fire questions. So Mark's told this when I did an interview with him, oh my God, almost 2 years ago now. We've been on the air a long time. Okay, but he said this, and what's really funny is the authors in our writing community heard this, and we were talking one day because all of us now refuse to use the word alabaster anywhere near anything. And a lot of the writers, not me, I write horror and then I write erotica, but they write fantasy, and this is a favored word with like high fantasy type or vampire books. Like this
Oh,
is
sure.
That's
the
really, it's
word.
usually those two. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the authors are like so terrified of using the word alabaster to describe skin. I'm like, because it's the go-to, but no, Mark Muncy doesn't approve. So do not use the word alabaster ever when describing.
Even for a vampire?
Even for a
well, that's
vampire,
once per book. That's the rule. Once
Okay,
per book.
all right.
Once per
Once
book.
per book.
You don't need to say it every time. You know, that's the key.
yeah. Every time the light hits her alabaster skin, it's not necessary.
No, it's not.
So are you a plotter or do you pants? What do you do?
I'm a plotter, but my plots don't stick. So, I make a plot and then I write for a little while and then I go off the plot and then I replot and then I write for a little while. So it's back and forth, but there's always a plan. It just don't stay with it.
Do your characters drive you at all?
Yeah, I think that's what happens is the characters, like I might plan for a scene and then I write the scene and I'm like, that does not work. That's falling flat. What needs to happen here is this. And then all of a sudden, once somebody says something, you're like, whoa, that's interesting. And if we're going to say that, then this, and this have to change forward and backward.
Excellent.
It's a lot of changes.
It is. That's also why it takes me forever to write.
I can understand that. Characters driving stories and stuff like that, especially if they talk to you. Where do you get ideas for your books?
I think just life and the world around me and what I'm thinking about and ruminating on and stressing about and that kind of stuff.
Do you take notes or voice recordings? How do you record the brilliant ideas or dialogue that you think of amongst the daily activities of your life?
So I do sometimes do journaling to capture that, especially like when I'm in the midst of something. I do keep, everyone has their phone with them. I do occasionally, especially it seems to happen in the car, I'll get an idea and I'll record myself saying like this line of dialogue or something like that. So those are probably the two things.
Okay, Mark, it's over to you.
Biggest influence from which author influences you the most?
I had a woman named Han Nolan, who's a YA author. She won the National Book Award. She was also my professor for several different classes. And I think probably of all of the people who have touched my writing, and there are many, and they have all been very impactful in different ways because of the variety of ways that we connected. I'll give it to her.
Okay, excellent.
I like
and
it.
then let's see. What you talked in our previous show about your first novel was fantasy oriented. What were your fantasy influences?
Fantasy influences.
Other than Harry Potter.
Yeah. Well, I wrote it before Harry Potter, just to like note that.
Yeah.
Actually, I finished writing it right around when Harry Potter came out, but I wrote it before I read Harry Potter. Wrinkle in Time was probably my favorite fantasy book growing up.
Excellent. Good choice.
What did you think of the movie?
I was okay.
Which leads to my next question, which is, what is your favorite book to movie?
Favorite book to movie? Hunger Games.
Me too, actually.
Super well done. Minus the casting of PETA.
I actually loved him as PETA.
I think he's a good actor, so I don't mean to trash him at all, but he just was not what I pictured.
No, I think a lot of people said that he's not what he pictured, but I think he embodied the character, like the tone and the, he was PETA. Like, because to me, PETA's the hero of those books. Katniss is a complete shit show that literally is guided.
Katniss, how can you say that?
Because she does not do anything but whine through most of the books. You know what I mean? Like
I like Woody Harrelson. So.
I love Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. He was amazing.
He was perfect.
He was great.
I went back and re-listened to those books on audiobook. The audiobook narrator for those books is amazing. She does a tremendous job. And I went back and re-listened, and I actually had forgotten because I read the books, then I saw the movies, and then I hadn't touched it. I was like, I'm gonna go. I own the movie, so I watch them a lot because I actually think they're very well done. But I went back and I listened to the audiobooks, and I forgot the layers to Haymitch. There are so many layers. And what's even more interesting is if you read the newest book, the Songs and Snakes or
songbirds and snakes.
Something. And I'm listening to it right now, which is the story of Snow when he was younger, right?
Like, yeah, I read it.
Yeah. And I'm in the middle, so don't give away the ending. But it brings up Haymitch, which I thought was really, really interesting and brings up that entire situation. And I was like, wow, there are many layers to our Haymitch character, but I thought Woody Harrelson did him really well. What about book to TV show?
Book to TV show.
Oh yeah, no, I'm going to keep it going. Look at these great questions I've come up with, Mark. Are you impressed?
These are new. I like them.
Yeah.
What book to TV show have I even watched?
There you go.
You not watch Netflix? They have a ton. Like Lucifer is a book to TV show.
Didn't watch.
Oh. That's a pretty fun one that is yeah.
Lucifer, that's the guy. He's Satan, right? Yep. I think I've seen the things for that.
It is Satan, based on a graphic novel.
Oh, really?
Shadow and Bone, that was based on a book.
Well, how about this? I mean, I love The Walking Dead, but I honestly never read the comic books. So, I mean, it's book to TV show, but I didn't actually read the book. So, is that like that?
That counts.
That counts. The Daryl Dixon is not in those comics until after the TV show was created, just to give you that.
Fair enough.
And it is way more graphic in the comic books than it is in the TV show.
That's hard to imagine.
No, there is a lot of rape and things like that in the comic books. Like the governor, the level of evil the governor is, like crank that up by about 4,000%.
Yep.
Oh, but how? Okay, I got you. I got a book to TV where I read the book and I watched the show, and I like the TV show better.
What's that?
Game of Thrones.
There we go.
Except for season 8.
Yeah.
Yeah. True. Good point. But I think the Game of Thrones is really well written. It's just after I read I think I want to say I read 3 of them, and by the end of the 3rd one, I felt like I had been abused. Like I was like not separating like my own mood from the book I was reading, and I got to a point where I was like, I feel like it's unhealthy for me to continue reading these books. But the show didn't affect me that way, so Anyway.
You want to hear something really, this is a fun fact about George R. R. Martin. I had no idea. He's a pantser.
Well, that explains why he can't finish his last book, because he's got 5,000 threads out there that he can't freaking pull together.
No, I think the problem with the last book is, and I've come to grips. I've gone through an emotional journey, even on this podcast, with this book, because I want to read this book desperately. I read all of them, and one of the things I think is brilliant about his writing is he's one of the few authors that really does continuously punch you in the gut, and not a lot of authors can do that well, though. He
does it well.
He does it really well, but he does. But I think he missed this opportunity to put that book out. I think it needed to happen before the series ended.
Yeah.
And now the way they ended that series, there is so much responsibility on him to fix it. Yeah. Where if it hadn't have ended, he could have done whatever ending he wanted to. And then if his ending was bad, people could say the show ending was better. Does that make sense? He had an out.
I feel like the show ending could have worked if it had been 2 seasons instead of 1, and they had earned it.
Oh no, they didn't. They thought they were going to a Star Wars series, which was dutifully taken away from them, and it made me very happy when that happened. Because they were all talking about it right as they were totally fucking up season 8. And then after season 8 came out, HBO was like, yeah, you can't have this. We're gonna take this, we're gonna go give it to somebody else. You're not allowed to have it. Which I was like, thank God, because if I ever meet those producers in person, I'm going to junk punch them and then go, you know what you did. and walk away.
Walk
So
away.
that will be my entrance
Alright.
to them.
Well, since we're talking TV and movie, Mary, who would you cast as the leads when they give you the movie deal for your book?
Yeah, so my trouble is I'm terrible with actors and actresses' names, and the people I want aren't the right ages anymore. But
We can say
I
a
want
type.
Boop to be Betty White, but Betty White like 20 years ago.
Oh,
Betty White type.
that's a given. I think any grandmother character should be Betty White.
Absolutely. And I want Eve to be Jennifer Lawrence with dyed hair, but also too old now. But nonetheless, that's kind of like in my head who was there.
That would be actually a ridiculously funny makeup of people. I feel like Betty White. Oh my God. Does not take her. I'm fine. It's fine. I'm fine over here. I feel like she doesn't take herself very seriously and just does stuff to have fun. Like one of my favorite Betty White movies is Lake Placid.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
It's a horror movie
It's
about
a
a
horror
giant
movie.
alligator.
Oh, my daughter watched it. I saw the end.
But there is a scene
Brilliant.
where, because she's been feeding the alligator, her and her husband, including her
That's
husband,
right.
got
That's
eaten
right.
by the alligator. But she has this scene where she's pouring tea for the deputies, and she goes, you know, I hope that alligator eats your deputy, every single one of them.
Yes.
She's pouring tea.
So well done.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So, what do you consider your writing, like things that you do weirdly? Like some people, a lot of characters shrug or blink twice or smirk or grit their teeth. Like, what do you find that you put in a book that your editor is like, stop doing this?
So they definitely smile too much.
Oh.
Yeah. And they do things with their eyebrows a lot.
We got a lot of facial expression, huh?
Yeah. And then it's words. And I happen to love the word just. Apparently you cannot say the word just too many times when you're me.
Yep.
So that just happened. See what I did there?
Very clever.
Oh,
Cheers.
yeah. Nobody listening is going to think I'm clever. They're just going to be like, she is drunk. Why is she allowed to talk?
Because it's your show.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's true.
100%.
God
100%.
darn it. It is my show. Mark, next question.
Next question. All right. So you're mentioning your young adult favorites and stuff like that. When you go to the store and you're looking at the titles and you're looking at the authors, what draws you to a cover?
To a cover. Well, it might be crazy to guess this, but I like color.
Okay.
So color definitely draws my eye. And then like I like something that like kind of pops but doesn't look like the 10 books that are sitting next to it. And that's a weird thing to say because it feels like that's often what publishers do. Like I'm gonna have a shot of the people just kissing and you're gonna know it's a Nicholas Sparks book, as you mentioned earlier or in the last show. And or I'm gonna have a girl who's you could only see the back of her at the beach, and we're gonna have like 10 different books with that. And I think it conveys a certain kind of book to a reader, and I get that's why you do that, but that does not draw me. Because again, I read like widely, perhaps would be how I would say it, and not deeply. So I don't want to read 10 books with a girl whose back is facing me at the beach. I might read one and I'll like it, but now I'm going to go read something completely different. So yeah.
So you're not a series addict. Do you get addicted to series? You read Harry Potter, so explain to me the difference in what you are saying, my friend.
So I like series that have a beginning and an end. I don't like series. Well, I don't necessarily dislike them, but I get bored with them. I'll say, like, I might like 2 or 3, but that are like in the same place, the same characters, and we're just sort of doing a plot a new plot each time, but it's kind of formulaic. That like I get bored of after 2 or 3 books. Doesn't mean I don't like the 2 or 3 books, and I'm glad to have read them, but I'm not someone who's going to read your 30 book series wherever. And not because it's bad or whatever, but just because like I like to move on. But because Harry Potter and Hunger Games and Game of Thrones theoretically all have a beginning and an end, it's not just like they're not episodic, I guess. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Okay.
And I thought of another question and then lost it, but it's coming back to me right now. I can tell. Oh, yes. Do you finish a book regardless, or do you throw it away if you're not happy?
I almost always finish it. I have 100-page rule, and which is maybe too long. I have been for the last 2 years contemplating shortening it, but I haven't. And usually by the time I'm 100 pages in, there's something about it that I feel like, well, crap, I've already read 100 pages and I do really want to know what happens with this. So I finish it.
Yeah, I think you ought to change that rule.
Yes.
I should. I was thinking 50 might be more like.
Yeah.
I've heard 50. I even think give it the first chapter or 2 at the most.
Yeah.
But
I mean, there've been a couple books in my life that I read a chapter or 2 of and was like, yeah, I'm done. But usually it's because at that point, like the book is way too dark for like the mood I'm in or something like that. Not like, it's not like I'm done forever, but like, this is not going to work for me in the space I'm in right now.
No, it makes sense. I just think your time is very valuable. And when I hear, see, I'm one of those people though, that will not finish a book if I don't care where in the book I get to, it pushes me out of the story. Like sometimes I'll be a little forgiving and it's not typos and stuff like that. Every freaking book has a typo in it. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you are the greatest author in the entire universe, you have typos in your damn book.
Absolutely.
It's not
even
that.
if you have the best editors, it happens.
Yeah.
Best
I don't
sellers.
care how many proofreads you get. You'll get that book and you'll be like, oh my God. That's why Stephen King put a thing on his website. I always encourage authors to do this, to report things that are wrong in the book. Because then you can go back and at some point just resend the manuscript out again and fix those things that are wrong in the book. But, and he's Stephen King, so he can do stuff like that. But I think that for me, if you're not drawn in and the story isn't really entertaining and really sparking some kind of joy, so to speak, the joy of tidying up, then I'd throw it away because your time is valuable, especially if you're a mom and you're writing and doing all these things, social media. You do not have time for somebody's okay, kind of, I can sort of relate maybe to this character book.
I did that for a couple books this year that were ones I was eagerly anticipating and got near the end on 2. And I still just was like, no, this is no.
My daughter, all right. I read her Harry Potter 1 and Harry Potter 2 and Harry Potter 3 and Harry Potter 4 and 3 chapters before the end of the book. She's like, yeah, I'm done. I could not believe it.
My daughters did that with Eric the Viking. They got up to the last chapter and they're like, Dad, I don't want to know the end. It's too scary. And I'm like, what? Really?
Anyway.
From Eric the Viking?
Eric the Viking.
I never read that.
Yep.
Oh, it was also made into a movie.
Yeah, again, completely different from the book. But the book was Terry Jones and who wrote it from Monty Python.
Oh, okay.
But he wrote a children's book about a Viking adventuring, and it was it's a fun series. It's very much Hobbit.
Like funny, like Monty Python funny?
Not really. It's more like classic Viking adventure. But then when they did it as a movie, they made it Monty Python silly.
Okay.
And the movie is to me, it's an 80s movie. It is one of the best, funniest movies when it comes to it actually kind of has so much relevance right now. I brought this up on another one of the shows, but there's a scene in this movie where they go to this, I think it's attempting to be like a Greek isle that's in the middle of the ocean.
High Brazil.
Yes.
The legendary continent of High Brazil.
Yes. And all of these people, there's peace on this island. There's never been bloodshed on the island.
Lovely.
So there's a curse on this island that if blood is shed on the island sinks into the ocean. So of course, a bunch of Vikings show up on this island. And although it's a comedy, blood is spilled, right? So the island starts sinking, and the princess, the king's daughter, is like, we've got to get off this island. The Vikings have boats. She's trying to evacuate this island. And the whole time they're playing music, and then they're like, it's simply not happening. And it's sinking. And literally, she is desperately pleading for people, and they just go right under the water.
Yep.
And it kind of
Going
reminds me
down
of
with the ship or the island.
Yep.
Yep. And it kind of reminds me of what's happening right now in the world.
It's a little on the nose there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got some climate change opinions. I'm gathering.
Well, it's not just climate change, just anybody who pretends something is not happening, like it's not actually existing. It drives me crazy. You know, science, there's science that says certain things. I don't agree with everything, but anyway, that's a whole other topic. Okay.
Anyway, yep.
Yep. Different topic. Totally. Do you listen to music when you read? Right? You listen to music when you write? I can say things and stuff.
Usually, I don't. If I do, it can't have words because that's confusing. So there's like this thing called like Brain FM, I think, and it's like kind of like, I don't know, moody music. Sometimes I'll listen to that, but it's usually because there's noise going on around me that I want to block out more than I actually want to listen to that. So mostly I prefer silence or the babble of voices that I can't really hear what they're talking about, but they're behind me.
Do you watch movies when you're writing at all?
No. Do you watch movies when you write?
I put them on in the background.
Really? That doesn't confuse you? That would confuse me.
I know I can't do it either. I can't do it.
No, I can, because I think I'm one of those people that rewatches movies over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I really enjoy. I won't mention how many times I've seen Galaxy Quest, for instance. Like, it's an obscene number of
Good
times.
Good one.
Right?
Yeah, but I can put it on in the background, and since I already know what's going to happen, it doesn't necessarily draw my attention.
So it's like
I like-
comforting?
What?
Is it like comforting? Like, why is it on?
It's just I can't do total silence. I have to do noise. Like, I have to write with noise on. And depending on a lot of
college, she used to walk into a room and she'd like turn the TV on and then she'd like walk out. Like, she just needed the sound of the TV in the house.
Yep. It's a
Yeah.
white noise thing.
That's you?
Yeah, I have to have
white
noise. And
so.
if I'm writing, it depends, because also if I'm writing erotica, I listen to a lot of Celtic music, like a lot of high fantasy Celtic, even with words. But if I'm writing horror, there are certain soundtracks that I listen to over and over again that are super duper creepy.
I can see that. I can see that.
You know, just to get me, and then I freak myself out sometimes when I'm writing and have to get up and walk away. So that happens too.
That's awesome. I like that.
Fun.
So did you not have a playlist for this epic road trip?
I do. On my website, there's a playlist. I made one, but I didn't really listen to it while I wrote it. I just made it up afterward.
That works. It's like you're a writer and you had to make up stuff. It happens.
Yeah, I made it up. I just thought there should be a playlist for a road trip, but like, I don't have to listen to it while I write.
No, I was thinking that there should be a playlist for your road trip and stuff like that.
So I did. I made one on Spotify. It's called Boop and Eve's Road Trip Playlist or something. Something really super original like that.
Hey, it works.
Now that we are doing in-person events again in some places, are you appearing anywhere anytime soon?
I had one just last week. It was super awesome. I was on vacation at Sunset Beach, which is one of the places I stop on the road trip. And so before I went, I said, hey, I'm going to be in the area. I'd love to come in and do a thing. I kind of thought they would say no, but they didn't. They were like, yes, and we will have an event and we will have cookies and punch. Yep. So I said,
oh, you got cookies and punch?
Punch.
Oh, I got to call Nancy and have her step up her game at the store.
Yeah, I was going to say, there are some, you better get on that, Mark. Books of Park Place needs to have cookies and punch.
We used to do that all the time. It's just been, we got out of that
nice.
practice.
And so I was on vacation at Sunset Beach. And so the library had the event and they brought in some people. And then my vacation at Sunset Beach is also a family reunion, I'll call it. So there's like 10 cottages of people who are related to me or friends of people who are related to me. And I didn't want anyone to feel like I have to go to Mary's thing at the library in the middle of my vacation, in the middle of a beach day. But there were a handful of people who like just chose, they knew it was happening and chose to come. So it was kind of cool. It was like half a room of like my relatives and half a room of strangers. And they were talking and they were, I don't know, it's like, it was a really, really, really nice feeling. I mentioned that I cried all the time. I ended up like getting choked up at one point and that was kind of embarrassing, but you know, hey, whatever.
Successful event. That's exactly.
That's okay. The first time somebody goes up to your table and says, I read your book and it changed my life, we already know what the end result is. Okay, don't start crying. This is not a podcast for crying.
Oh, okay.
There's no crying and drinking with authors. That's not a thing. But I can't wait for that to happen for you, because I think that will be amazing. And I am quite sure you will at some point hear that.
Yeah. I've gotten a couple emails, 3 emails I can think of that were kind of like that. So that's nice too.
You reach somebody.
You get the emails where they're like, took my grandmother on a road trip because of your book.
Oh, that'd be fun. That would be fun. I haven't gotten that one. I got I'm a grandma and my daughter and granddaughter live with me and we hadn't been getting along. And after I read your book, I now greet the differences in our life worldviews with more humor than I had before. Yeah. And we're all getting along a lot better.
See, look, life-changing book there.
That was cool. And somebody else who said, I haven't read a book in 20 years. I actually know this person. Haven't read a book in 20 years, but I read the book because you wrote it and I liked it. And now I've read 3 more.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Look at you changing the world left and right.
One reader at a time.
Hey, that's all that matters. That's all it takes. Okay, Mark, I'm giving you the final question of the evening.
Oh, geez. No pressure.
No pressure. But all the pressure.
All right. So all the pressure is, all right. So you're given an unlimited amount of time to write your next book. Given an unlimited amount of money to write your next book. So you just can focus on it. Where are you going to go? What are you going to do? And what are you going to write?
What the hell kind of, wow, that's
a meaty question. All right.
Very.
So, let me tell you like my favorite place to write in the whole world.
There we go.
Which is weird, but you guys know Highlights magazine?
Oh my God, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, they have a thing called the Highlights Foundation, and they do writing workshops in some property that they own in Pennsylvania. And they have this big like farmhouse, and then they have these like little cabins. And you can go and do a workshop, and those are really awesome. Love them. But you could also go and just stay there. And so you get this like little 1-room cabin with a bathroom, and that's all that's there. And then you go to the barn for your meals, and they have a freaking gourmet chef who like cooks you this amazing food. And at dinner you have wine, and there are often other writers there, and you sit there and you drink wine with them after dinner. But then you're like, there's nothing to do in this little property other than write. So there's not distractions, but you get these amazing meals. You don't have to cook, and you get to drink. And so I would go and spend a lot of time there.
There we go. Good enough for me.
Okay. That was actually a pretty epic question, Mark. Virtual high five. Okay. Mary, you've been amazing. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Again, tell people where to find you.
MaryHelenSheriff.com, 1 R, 2 Fs, just like the policeman. And my Facebook group, Bookish Road Trip. And we'd love to see you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being on with us.
Thank you for having me. It's been super fun. I'm not feeling sober anymore. Like we've been recording long enough that like I feel like it's a good time to stop.
Yeah, I felt that before we started this last episode. It's fine though. It's fine. I'm good there.
It's all good.
It's fine. It's all good. Okay. I have been this has been Drinking with Authors. I'm going to remember the title of this podcast, even as I said. This has been Drinking with Authors, Literary Briefs. I've been your host, Erica Lance. My co-host has been
Mark Muncie from Eyre, Florida.
Amazing. And our guest has been Mary Sheriff, who is absolutely wonderful. Go out, find her, buy her book, and have it change your road tripping life. Life. And I'm going to leave it right there. We'll see you guys next time.